Someone said to me as well from Atlanta, Georgia, came to this church and told me, Pastor Manning, ain't no way you're going to become the mayor of New York City unless you relate to the homosexuals. And I said, I'll never do it. They said, well, you'll never become mayor. And I took a look at it. The last 5 mayors, and we could go back even further, every person that's been the mayor of New York City for the last 35 years has been a flaming homosexual. I would even go so far as to say one of the reasons why we've never had a woman as mayor is that we've never had a flaming lesbo running to be the mayor of New York City. Now, we had this woman, Quinn, City Council Speaker Quinn at one time, but somehow or another she fizzled. But listen to Pastor Manning. One of the reasons that, and you can put this among several other reasons of which I will express going forward, that I didn't, if you will, win this questionable election is because I'm not a homosexual. There's nobody that's been the mayor of the city of New York that is not a homosexual. And I'm going to read you the names, starting with the most current mayor, Eric Adams. He's presently the mayor, presently a homosexual. Bill de Blasio, mayor just before Eric Adams, he and his wife were flaming homosexuals. In fact, they said in the middle of his tenure as the mayor of the city of New York that his wife said she's going to start dating other women, and Bill de Blasio said he's going to start dating other men. Flaming homosexual, both man and wife, in Bill de Blasio. Michael Bloomberg, a Jewish homosexual. Now, he's in the closet, as many are, but he is as homosexual as, if you will, anybody that's ever been homosexual. Michael Bloomberg, the flaming Jewish homosexual. And then there is, after him, was Rudolph Giuliani. I don't know if you know that Rudolph Giuliani's wife left him because he just wasn't ringing the bell. He dressed up in drag with Donald Trump. Giuliani, a homosexual. And before him was David Dinkins. Well, everybody knows that Dinkins was a homosexual as well. And then prior to that was Ed Koch. Ed Koch was a marching in the homosexual, if you will, gay parade and have his own gay parade. Ed Koch was such an homosexual. So they said to me, Pastor Manning, you may have some other problems and get people against you. You don't have any money. But the one reason why you're never going to be the mayor of New York City is that you're not a homosexual. And I got news for you, my friend. You can't be nothing here in New York. You can't even get a job as a newscaster or a reporter, and we're talking about even on Fox News. You can't get one as someone who's a contributor to the news program, though you're not a news anchor. You can't get a job on Broadway. No, you ain't going to get it on Broadway. You're not going to the Albert Schubert Theater or any of the others. You're not going to get a job in any of the major plays. You're not going to get a job in many of the spotlight positions that shine. You're not going to get a job as a commissioner of any of the major city organizations unless you are a homo. That's just how New York is. It's worse than Sodom and Gomorrah. So the people say, Pastor Man, you got a pipe dream. You are definitely not a homosexual. You're against homosexual. And by the way, Mondummy is in the closet. I don't know if he's so much in the closet, way back up in the closet, like Bloomberg. Bloomberg way back here. Bloomberg one of them old-time homos. Them old-time homos. They're different from these young homos. These young homos like to flame. They like to show their stuff. They like to flash their eyelids. They like to wear lipstick. Bloomberg one of them old-time homos. He old-time. But no, You're not going to be anything. Let me say something to you. Now, I've been in New York for the last 40-some years. I've been straight all my life. You ain't going to be nothing in New York where you get the public, where you before the public, the homos have got that square. You're going to have to, the acid test is going to have to be, are you a homo? Do you want this job? You want to be mayor? You want to be police commissioner? You want to be fire commissioner? You want to be head of education? You want to be department? Are you homo? Are you homosexual? If you're not a homosexual, forget about it. Nothing else qualifies. I don't care what degree of college you graduated from. Are you a homosexual? Now, you can say, Pastor Manny, you're exaggerating, that I'm exaggerating. You can say that. And that somehow this is ugly. Like, that's the other thing. Why is it that when you speak, I didn't say nothing ugly, all of a sudden this is hate speech? I did not say anything hateful. I just told the truth. Why is it when you tell the truth on these homos, it's now hate speech? And all I've done is say this, Ed Koch was a homo. Bill de Blasio was a homo. His wife was a lesbo. You say, we're using those terms, a homosexual term. Well, what if I say Negro? What if I say homo, Negro, lesbo? Which one of those three terms, homo, lesbo, Negro, is a hate speech? Which one? If I say Negro, is that a hate speech? If I say homosexual is a word by Daniel Webster and all the other Webster people, all the other people that write dictionaries. Homosexual, does it is a homogeneous? Is homogeneous also hate speech? If I say homogeneous, if I say homogenized, is that hate? No. But if I say homosexual, all of a sudden I'm a hater. I got horns. I'm the devil. I need to be executed. You know why? Because they know that they're living in an inferior lifestyle, one that contrary to the universe, the stars of the universe of the Kuiper Belt, way out on the nebulae, cry out, homosexuality is against the principle of the entire universe from end to end. And that's why they try to make it hate speech. But here, let's go back to the original. So the fellow told me, Pastor Man, you're not going to be the mayor of New York City. So why? Because you're not a homo. There ain't no way. I said, well, what about some of the women? Is that really why the women? I said, well, I don't know about that. But you ain't going to be them. Every mayor got to be a flaming homosexual. And by the way, Mundummy is a flaming, he's in the closet. He's in the closet. But he's going to come out, or if he doesn't come, everybody knows. He stood up and said, I'm for the trannies. Yeah, I'm tranny number one. So we'll make Mundummy the number one tranny in the next gay parade down on Orchard Street or wherever the hell they have it. We'll make Mundummy tranny number one. So I thought I would share that with y'all. I don't know how important that is to you. It may not mean anything at all. But there needs to be something done legislatively. Mike, you can't live here in New York City if you're not a homo. You can't live here. And then they don't like for you to say homo either. What's wrong with saying homo? I said Negro. I mean, what's wrong with homo? Homo, Negro, homogenized. I mean, what's wrong? Well, that's hate. Homo said, this is in the dictionary. They done changed the dictionary. The category of words is now homo. Come on now. They want to take power over God. God says it's wrong. God says lying is wrong. Stealing, he said adultery is wrong. Hell, that means a whole lot of people. But that's okay. But the word homo, all of a sudden, now that's ugly. Let's blot that out. A word that's been used to describe the processes of two things in agreement with each other. What's wrong with that? Homo. What's wrong with homo? Anyway. So, rather than my running, I should have ran not as the first Republican or the first independent, but I should have ran as the first non-homo. That's how I should have been that's what I should have been on my ticket. The first non-homo mayor of New York City in 100 years, the first man to be not to be a homo in 100 years will be James David Manning. At any rate, everybody, I thought you'd be interested in that. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.